Good morning. I'm Peter Milios from the Finance News Network. Stocks gyrated on Wednesday as the Federal Reserve paused its rate hiking campaign and signalled it was making progress on fighting inflation. As traders were expecting, the Fed kept interest rates unchanged at a target range of 5% to 5.25% on Wednesday afternoon, ending a streak of 10 consecutive hikes. Earlier Wednesday, May's Producer Price Index, an indicator of the path of inflation, fell 0.3%, a larger decrease than expected. On Tuesday, May's reading of the Consumer Price Index, which showed the lowest annual increase in more than 2 years, bolstered investor hopes that the Fed was winning its war against inflation. Despite the pause, the market's initial reaction was negative as investors focused on the central bank's projections for the rest of the year, which indicated the Fed would hike rates 2 more times this year. However, the sell-off stabilised somewhat as Fed Chair Jerome Powell said at his press conference on Wednesday afternoon that the central bank hadn't yet made a decision about July's meeting. He also said the Fed was making progress against inflation. The Fed next meets July 25 to 26. The S&P 500 eked out a narrow gain, rising 0.08%. The Nasdaq Composite added 0.39%, supported by gains in Nvidia and AMD. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 0.68%, dragged down by losses in United Health. During the session, both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq touched their highest levels since April 2022. In company news, Oracle shares grew 4.8% to hit a record closing price. Over the past year, Oracle stock has risen by an impressive 73%, surpassing all other large-cap enterprise technology stocks except for Nvidia. In 2023 alone, the shares surged by over 50%, making it the most profitable year for the shareholders since the dot-com boom in 1999. The EU Parliament has approved sustainability regulations for the battery industry, but the decision on including nuclear production of ammonia in the renewables law is undecided. Argentina's president and the EU chief signed an MOU to enhance cooperation on sustainable raw materials for the clean energy transition. Argentina, a major lithium producer, is attracting investments and has potential in renewable energy. The MOU coincides with ongoing efforts to finalise a trade deal between the EU and Mercosur bloc, but expected to conclude this year. US-led group of 12 countries, along with the EU, plans to select key critical minerals projects by year-end to reduce China's dominance in green technology raw materials. The Mineral Security Partnership has shortlisted 15 projects from 200 options. The head of one of Britain's few surviving homegrown battery manufacturers has threatened to build its planned new factory overseas unless the UK closes the gap with subsidies offered by the EU and the US. Alan Hollis, Chief Executive of AMTE Power, said the government must offer more financial support to become competitive as the UK lags behind in the global clean energy subsidy race. The EU has offered hundreds of billions of euros in response to the US administration providing $370 billion of incentives through the Inflation Reduction Act. And the sterling has risen to its highest level against the dollar since April 2022, boosted by strong economic data that has added pressure on the Bank of England to keep raising interest rates. The pound climbed as much as 0.8% on Wednesday, helped by a broad retreat for the dollar as markets expected the US Federal Reserve to pause its tightening. Overall, US sectors closed mostly lower. IT was the best performer, whilst healthcare was the worst. The SPY futures are pointing to a 0.3% gain. Thank you for listening.